Good evening. It's time for the journey. It is episode number 11. Wow, I'm still exhausted from yesterday, which we'll get into. We had our ice hockey classic. Kerry Goulet and the Gooch Productions and the gang. Tony Neal and all of the people that were behind it. The Primo brothers. We'll talk about the coaches. I'll tell everybody about what happened. And our producer, Jordan LaRoche, the Fanshawe kid, was in goal for Canada. He played the first period and a half. I'm telling you, if he played the whole game, we would have come back and won. He played great. I knew he was a good goalie, but he made some big stops, and those are some big names. And it's been a crazy week. We're going to get to it all. We have no guest today. We're going to just go just the team. Me and my partner Brad Barco, who's in Edmonton, waiting to jump up. So why don't I do that right now? Bring up the one, the only, my partner, co-host, Brad Barco. Barks, what's going on?
Rosie, how we doing? Episode 11. And I must say, there was one time in Oilers great that wore number 11, that being the Moose, Mark Messier. So, you know when you're involved in greatness, it's going to be a great show. It always is a great show. But, Rosie, it's an honor and a privilege, as always, week in and week out, to be next to you. And, of course, Jordan bringing us up and bringing us down. I'm looking forward to tonight. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. Try something a little different this week. It's just going to be the two of us, rapping and that. For people out there who are, maybe thinking about doing a podcast, or we're very fortunate. We have Kerry and all of the things she does to allow the project to go on, and then to have a great producer like George LaRoche behind the scenes, pressing the buttons, doing everything that gets us on the air. It's not easy getting guests, especially in the summertime. So we are going to, every once in a while, just Brad and myself come up here and talk about ability, disability, our lives. But more than not, we will have incredible guests, and we got another one coming up next week. Hey, Brad, it was too bad that you didn't come last night. Did you get a chance to live stream it at all?
I watched a little bit. Yeah, I watched actually a little bit via, what Kerry was posting, and I see a couple posts that way as well. Jordan filled me in on pre-show as well. Just so happy for you guys, and so excited that live events are back. Jordan, I'm sure, was looking like a Grand Fear-esque in between the pipes, or maybe a young Paul Rosen in between the pipes there. And I just realized as well, Paul, I don't know if we caught on to this. It took me 11 episodes, but we are like a sandwich. You're the peanut butter, or you're the P. I guess I can be the B, and we got a J because Jordan's there anyway. So we're like peanut butter and jelly. And I had to throw that in there. But, hey, I'm so excited for you guys last night. It looked incredible. Canada's effort was also incredible. 6 goals in the third period to come back 30 seconds left to tie the game, and unfortunately lose in overtime. Again, a huge thanks and congratulations to everyone involved, from Kerry to obviously Paul. Jordan did an incredible job in net. And of course the Primo brothers. And I was listening to a couple of the names pre-show, and the names of Zdeněk Konopka, the former Ottawa Senator. Some would call him a great, and obviously the Primo brothers, so Keith Primo, of course, and a name that stood out to me when we talked about briefly, and you interviewed him in between periods last night, that being former Edmonton Oiler and former your team, former Chicago Blackhawk, Drake Kadrula. So I'm sure it was a great night. You mentioned the arena was cold. That's always good to know when hockey's back, when the arena's a little bit brisk and a little bit cool. I'd rather that than the snow or the ice melting and having issues. So that's fantastic, and it's just a warm up for us to get ready for the NHL here in just about a month.
Yeah, Drake's with Buffalo right now, and he he actually could fly. This kid, there was a lot of, when we do take the tour over to Australia and New Zealand, hopefully July 22, it will be back there. We have 5 or 6 guys playing in the NHL. We just really had the one, but we had some alumni. Kevin Noble, who played overseas, he was the captain of Canada. He's played 5 times. Josh Britton, who played with the Kingston Canadians, played overseas. He was there a few times. But we had a lot of hungry guys, Brad. We had a lot of hungry guys playing playing in Europe. It was a real good game, and then to come down like it was to at one point the Canadians were down 7-1, to come back and tie it up 8-8, lose 9-8 on a 3-on-3. And we had coaches were Greg Johnston and oh my God, I'm trying to remember Jimmy. Why can't I remember? One of my favorites. It's been on our show a million times. I'm having a brain cramp right now. But Jordan will put it up. He owns the Aurora Tigers. Jim Thompson, and Greg Johnson coaching the Americans. The Canadians were coached by Wayne Primo and Dennis Marook. It was a real good night, and it was a night where we could raise some money for stop concussions, get some mental health. We can get some awareness for ice hockey, and get the awareness of the Nathan Walker Cup was presented to Zenon Konopka in the U.S. Nathan Walker, Jordan, if you know, was the first Australian to make it into the NHL. He won a Stanley Cup with Washington Capitals, moved on to St. Louis. He is, I don't know where he is right now. He's in the minors, but the kid could play too. It was just a lot of fun to be able to. And Stephen Ellis, we've had Stephen Ellis on the extraordinary kid, knows his stuff. He did the color commentary. I'm telling you, I've done color before. This guy's good. I was fortunate. Nico was amazing for Parasport on the play-by-play. I did the ringside reporting like the old Pierre Maguire, and I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Before we get into stories and what's been going on, any changes on what happened with you and that situation in the casino?
Yeah, so first off, I do want to apologize. Apparently, our producer Jordan tells me there's an echo on my end. It's all clear on my end. I'm not sure why or how, but I do apologize for that, and we'll try and get that fixed. I've been working on some audio as Paul's been talking at the same time, but everything seems to be okay. But yes, there seems to be some good awareness on this behalf on my story at the casino, as Paul mentioned. We do have a media circuit starting tomorrow. I'll meet with local Global Edmonton here. They're one of our biggest news outlets here in Edmonton. Meeting with them tomorrow at 10 a.m. local time, as well as some podcasts. Some podcasts invited me to come on and speak more about, in a broader sense, about disabilities, about awareness. And I think the biggest one, though, I got reached out to by a community group. They're local here in Edmonton, but they service all of Canada. They're called Voices of Disabilities, and there's nobody with a physical disability on their board, and they need a powerful voice, and they need a voice, and they've asked me to jump on that board and kind of be a person of influence, I guess. So we'll figure out all that this week, and hopefully have some news for you, if not later in the week. Hopefully by this time next week we'll have some more news to announce.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. You know what? I love the fact that you're stepping up and you're strapping into your chair. And you're saying, no, I'm not going to accept this. This is unacceptable. We always have our great guest, Robert Warren. He's always watching. He's always contributing. We really want. I don't know why. I know I'm a terrible reader, but when it comes up on my screen, I got to figure something out. It's so small and I can't see it. You want to go for that one?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead. Yeah. So Robert, as always, very active in the show. So again, we thank you for your support. And he says, "Awesome, you're on." Yes, the hockey game was awesome, and though I knew Jordan was a goalie, I didn't realize how good he was. So kudos to our producer there. He went head on with more than a few NHL players. It was awesome over and over again. I wonder, Jordan, maybe you can comment or comment down below. But did we see a stack of the pad, maybe so like pancakes? Did we see some maple syrup on that pad stack or not quite?
I tell you, you know what? I tell you one thing. If we can somehow for next week pull up the one save he made, it was at the far end of the ice. I was at the near end, standing beside Kerry as I was doing most of my interviews in the intermissions. We just couldn't do it any other way.
Yeah.
He made a stop. I'm telling you, Brad, it was a world class one of those Patrick Waugh, Marty Brodeur, Marc Andre Fleury's. Like the net was wide open, and kabambo, that pad, that LaRoche pad came boom over. Wow, it was exciting. Hey, let's get into the fact we're going to tell some of our stories, and we really want people that are around the world, people that have watched the game, to comment and ask us some questions about disability, about ability, about you, what you need, and what you're not sure. I want to ask you, Brad, what you think of there's some commercials going on right now in North America, anyways, where the guy or the lady will pull up to a handicapped spot. There's just this one I just saw yesterday, and so he goes in the parking lot. Hey, what are you doing? He goes, don't worry, I'm only going to be a minute. He goes, no, you can't park there. It's a handicapped spot. And I goes, no. And the guy takes a buggy, like from the shopping cart, and he twist ties it to the door handles of the guy's cars on both sides. The guy comes back, he freaks out, he can't open, he needs to get a knife or a scissor to open the twist ties to open the door. He goes back and forth. The police aren't involved. It's just something that makes people think, and I think the person in the PR department might have come up with a good idea. However, I don't know if that's the way to do it, in my opinion, as somebody who's disabled, because that could get you into confrontations. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
Look, you get more bees with honey, don't you, Paul? And my wife keeps reminding me of that every day, although sometimes I do want to get angry and throw things and oust people and really blast them online, because I mean maybe that will bring awareness that way. But I always say I've been doing also meeting with city council members locally, as we do have a local, of course, a big election coming in the fall, but of course a local election as well in the fall. So really gearing up for that and really meeting with everyone I can in all these wards to try and pick their brain and to try and bring awareness and to try and understand that we need a voice at the table. We need a seat at the table. All these other communities, Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ, Indigenous people, all this stuff, everybody's created change by making waves and making noise. And heaven forbid something bad has happened to all these groups. If you look at it, something bad has happened to all these groups for people to start initiating change. And I keep telling people, I don't want to be a stat. I don't want to be the person that's, heaven forbid, something happens to me or something happens to me in my community or Paul or whatever. Something bad happens and finally change is starting to be made. We need to be proactive. We need to be here in the now. And in order to create change, Paul and Jordan, in order to create change, we need to create awareness. And we need to understand the issues, understand what's happening, and bring solutions to the table. I mentioned both on Twitter and on my Facebook last week, I keep bringing up stats almost every day. I know it's been a busy weekend. I've been away from it. But 44% of people with disabilities are below the poverty line. To me, that's sickening. To me, that makes me sick. I want to do more. I want to do better. We got to bring our people up. And again, put them at the seat of the table And for me to do that, I mean, the government's got to be able to pour more funding. I mean, locally, let's be honest. I don't know how it is in Ontario, but locally, we have a group. There is a. It looks like a Christmas tree. Okay, Paul. I'm going to send you a photo, but it looks like a Christmas tree beside a bridge of silver balls. I kid you not, silver balls, and it's supposed to be art. Okay, art. That's what it's there for. They spent $600,000 US on these balls, and it wasn't even a local or Canadian artist. This artist was American. So when I look at that, and I look at this and I say, those are useless in my eyes. Even as an artsy person, I got an art eye. To me, that's that's ridiculous. That's crazy. Why can't you take half of that, or even a quarter of that, and pour it into accessibility, pour it into people with disabilities, and again, that's bringing your community and your people up. Just spitballing it, and for me, Paul, that's a logical solution. But we both know the government's not logical people.
Yeah, you're right. To segue that into where we are right now. So the Olympics happened. It was a real good Olympics. Canada did quite well, 24 medals. The women did incredible. We had a couple of men, with Warner and DeGrasse, but overall the women did incredible. And now, I tell people the Paralympics are coming up extremely soon. They clean the village up. They get it ready. I know Vicky Nolan, good friend of mine, visually impaired rower, is there. Shane Smith, one of my good buddies, he's there with the wheelchair rugby team. Robbie Snook is commentating for CBC on the wheelchair basketball team. The opening ceremony started on Tuesday, Brad. Yet,
Yeah.
because we get very little to begin with, but because Mr. Trudeau, Prime Minister Trudeau, should take something it's in his arsenal, he can do it. Instead of going 2 more years, he decides, I'm calling a snap election now, 2 years early, a 30-day bing bang boom election, trying to get the public to, in my opinion, get them while people are sleeping, while the PCs and the NDP don't have, I don't want to get too political, don't have too much there, to jump in and get a majority government instead of minority. And who suffers? The disabled athletes again. The Paralympics, next to no coverage whatsoever. Handfuls of snippets here and there to start on Tuesday. What's your thoughts on that as somebody who has been disabled his entire life?
Yeah, look, that's going to change because, I mean, this is an opportunity. You look at the Paralympics. This is an opportunity to showcase the best of the best, really, because these are athletes. Okay, let's keep in mind here. These are still Olympic athletes going to, in their sport, the best of the best. And you want to spread the message. You want to put people with disabilities on the map. You want to give them their spotlight. This is a chance for you to do that. And especially in Canada, we're so proud of our athletes. We're so proud of, hockey. We're so proud of our, everyone that goes to both the summer and the Winter Olympics, or, the summer games, or whatever goes on. It's always on at some point of either CBC or CBC.ca or TSN or TSN's platform or whatever. And I really think all the media outlets, and you might say that, the election is overshadowing that. For me, it's very disappointing. This is a missed opportunity, I think. And again, it's an opportunity for them. There's a little boy or a little girl sitting at home right now, maybe struggling, maybe just got diagnosed with a disability or ended up with a disability and due to some form of accident. They're sitting in that hospital bed, or they're sitting in rehab, or they're sitting wherever, and they need inspiration. They need a sign of hope, Paul. They need that pick me up. And if we can't do it, when they turn on that TV, when they're at their lowest point or one of their lowest moments, they turn on that TV, they see a Paralympic athlete or an Olympic athlete. To me, they're not Paralympians, they're Olympians. In my eyes still, they see a disabled person competing in whatever sport, and all of a sudden, that fire or that light gets ignited again. They go, that's what I want to do. You know what? I want to try that. I want to give that an opportunity. And really, it's a missed opportunity when you don't have them on TV, and and really, it's then you lose hope, right? Like there's people sitting there maybe counting on something. Maybe they need something. They need a sense of inspiration, and it's just not there. So I'm disappointed, Paul. Lack of better words, I'm very disappointed.
Yeah, there has to be more. There has to be more prime time situations. To watch a wheelchair rugby game of Sweden and Canada at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's not going to fly. And I know it's a difficult thing because I've worked for the networks before, but we have to figure out some way to get an incredible spotlight. I'm looking everywhere online. I'm looking everywhere, and to find the actual
Yeah.
Paralympic opening ceremonies live, it's like trying to dig for gold in a mountain of dust. It's almost impossible. I'm going to do whatever I can over the next day or so to see what I can figure out, and I know that some of them are on because Vicky Nolan, who's a dear friend, her husband Iman sent me a little link of when the rowing is on, but you can't really watch it live unless you want to be up at 3 in the morning because it is in Tokyo, same as the Olympics. And for people that are watching right now that don't know the difference, I had an opportunity to compete in Salt Lake, Torino, and Vancouver. It's everything is the same, guys. So when the Olympics end and they clean the village out and the residents get all made into accessible, because then they have to have the ramps and everything. They don't put them up for the Olympics. They put them up for the Paralympics. But when you see the athletes in the village, it's exact same village. When you see them in the cafeteria, that's massive. That's got the McDonald's. That's the size of a small country because McDonald's is a major sponsor, which always baffled me. You go and you play the hardest game of your life, and you come in and you can have 9 Big Macs. Everything is free. The athletes. One of the best in Italy was incredible, and some of the guys would remember. I used to have this routine with Billy about 3 o'clock in the morning. Everything was 24 hours. You couldn't sleep. We'd go over and have a huge steak and potatoes at 3 o'clock in the morning. Probably not the greatest time to have a steak and potatoes at 3 o'clock in the morning, but you know what? The volunteers and the venue people at the event. So now it's Tokyo. They treat the Olympians and Paralympians exactly the same. Exactly the same. That's what we need the rest of the world. The rest of the world has to become, look at a volunteer at the Olympics and Paralympics. They love, a lot of them love the Paralympics more because the athletes are more accessible. The athletes will come up to you and say hi and sign an autograph, and they stay on venue, Brad. They stay in the village, whereas a lot of the big time hockey players and big time Olympians, they get their own hotels somewhere nowhere near the village, and it's sad that happens. Hopefully, it's going to change. Hey, you know what? We've got a few minutes left. Why don't we, if we can come up with a story? I'll go first to give you a few minutes to tell a story where you just thought, man, things have got to change. And I'm going to give you one of mine that happened extremely recently, and it was in a parking lot, Brad. I was pulling into a spot. I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't wearing my leg. I got that little break on my stump. It was only a couple of weeks ago. I'll say it was at a Shoppers, but that doesn't mean anything bad. There could be 99 for net, and it had nothing to do with Shoppers. It was just in a Shoppers lot. And now, if Shoppers wants to sponsor the journey with Barts and Rosey, they can give us a call any time of the day. But what happened, Barks, was I got in there, and there was a guy who was parked, and he was halfway in. There was 2 spots. Handicap spots are very big. He was parked so blocking kind of 2, and he wasn't disabled at all. And somebody told me he was a young guy. He wasn't. I ended up blocking him in, going into Shoppers, trying to be as nice as I could. Hey, buddy, you're in the handicap spot. You're not handicapped. You're blocking both spots. I can't get in. Normally, I wouldn't care, but I'm not wearing my artificial leg. I'm having trouble. He didn't care at all. So I had this, what do? Do I block him in? Do I make it that he can't get out? Do I put the buggies? Do I yell and scream? Do I call the police? And I just said, you know what? On this particular occasion, I'm just going to hope that this guy is going to learn a lesson. I moved my car and I waited by his till he came out, and I just shook my head as if to say, man, I hope you don't join our club, because if you join our club one day, you're going to be as upset as I am right now. It's an ignorant thing what you did. I'm gonna, I'm gonna zen, take a deep breath, and I'm gonna go in and get my stuff. But it irks me. It irks me, and I know so many of our listeners and are watching. You want so badly to just say you can't do that. Use some common sense. So I'll leave the show with that one there. Brad, you got something for us?
Yeah, you want to talk about recently? It's not very big. And I got to give them props. First, they fixed it right away. They rectified it. So thank you for that. But I will, because it was all about awareness. You got to create awareness in order to create change. That's all what I've been talking about recently. I've been lucky enough to cover the CEBL, which we have a basketball team here in Edmonton called the Edmonton Stingers. Niagara has one, Hamilton has one for you, Ontario people listening, and for Paul and Jordan. Great basketball. And today, the Edmonton Stingers won the back-to-back championships. They won it last year in the bubble in Hamilton. They win it this year today in Edmonton. That's where I was before the show. But this weekend was definitely an eye-opener for the league, and definitely an eye-opener for me as covering the league and trying to do interviews. It's not set up by the Edmonton Stingers itself as they are all year. The Stingers are great. It's fantastic. The media is very accommodating, and the PR, it's fantastic. But this particular weekend, because it was championship weekend, it was set up through the league. The league itself, so the CEBL, which they're based in Hamilton, they came to Edmonton to do all this, and it's a spectacle. It goes from Wednesday to today. Concerts and everything else. But I'm going to cover my first game was Friday, and I go to cover the game. The game ends, and they have a podium set up downstairs. So we get down. There's an elevator. First off, the elevator didn't work. They had to escort us a different way down the ramp and back way, and that was a whole other headache and disaster in itself. But they had this podium set up. And then because of distancing and COVID and everything else still, and you got to wear a mask when you interview the players, because they don't want anybody getting sick, because I don't think a lot of them are still vaccinated, which still blows my mind, but whatever. It's a story for a different day. And so you got to be, it's set up at about a 6 to 10 foot radius from me to the podium. But to get up there was 5 stairs to get to the podium. So speaking with PR, right away I shook my head. Me and my co-host were kind of upset. My partner that covers it with me, very upset about it. We went to PR. Then we went to our local PR, and then they went to the league, complained, and then by the time I got to the game on Friday, so this was Wednesday, the awards. By the time I got to the game on Friday, it was fixed. They brought the stage closer for me. They eliminated the stairs, and they were super accommodating. So again, awareness to create change. We let them know I was upset. We let them know this was an issue. They didn't realize it was an issue because I'm the only one with a disability that covers this league. So they didn't realize they had an issue at their hands. They didn't realize they needed to change, and now changes were made, and they're going to change moving forward as well. So thank you to the CEBL for doing that, for accommodating and realizing that changes need to be made. There was no hostilities. There was no tension. But I brought up my concerns. I brought up where it needed to be, and they were able to fix it within 48 hours. It was fantastic. So thank you.
And sometimes, Brad, it's better that way. We can get more with honey and being nice than being, physically. And sometimes you have to get just really upset. But it's much better to take it and get through the ease and the situation. Hey, you know what? We just wanted to really jump on tonight and give a little of Barks and Rosey attitude and keep it light tonight. We're going to have a guest on next week, but we will be every 4 or 5 shows doing something, just the two of us. We've got a lot of great things planned with Gooch Live Productions for the fall, for after Labor Day. We got a couple of more weeks. I know we're going to be off soon, not next week, but following week we'll be off because of the holidays. You'll be in the Toronto area. The Fanshawe Kid, you and me and the Gooch will meet up. But starting in September, you get ready for Sunday nights, the journey with Barks and Rosey. We're going to bring you some great guests in the dead of the winter when you're freezing cold and you're all upset that it's snowing like crazy in Edmonton and Toronto and wherever you are in Northwest Territories. We're going to bring some big time stuff to you. Hey, Barks, it comes to that time of the show, and it couldn't be any better. Our heroes of the week. I said last night when I was doing the game, and if you rewind the tape and watch last night when I was talking, I said my hero of the week is going to be the kid, Jordan LaRoche, the Fanshawe Kid, because he hadn't played goal in quite a while, and goalie is not an easy position, ladies and gentlemen. You can't just jump in just to play for fun. He hasn't played in 3 years, really. And to jump in, and I watched him Thursday night in our first practice, and there were some good players shooting the puck, and I'm going, whoa. And then Friday night, he started picking up, and there's some guys that are going, like every one of these guys is going to play pro this year, and they're all training. And he's not training. He's just, fooling around men's a little and doing all the production and backscene stuff. And then he comes in and plays the game. And I'm telling you, you talk mom and dad, wherever you are, and I know you usually watch, I'm proud of this kid because not only is he a hell of a young man, he can play goal. And so, Brad, my hero of the week is Jordan LaRoche, the Fanshawe Kid, and he's got it teed up. So I think we're going to see the save. Jordan, if you can do it, this will be the first time. Watch this save. Look at here it comes. Coming down there. Throws it over.
What a save!
Oh my God.
Gets the right pad.
That was what you call a slide and pad save. This kid, I was at the other end and I couldn't stop. So from everyone at the journey, my hero, the Fanshawe Kid, with the save of the game goes to Jordan LaRoche. Barks, you.
First off, Jordan, hey man, we love you. We love you for all the work you do here, but that was incredible. Shades of Marc-Andre Fleury a little bit. You should send that over to Flower on Twitter. I know the Oilers are looking for a goalie, so maybe we'll make some phone calls here and see if we get you an entry-level tryout, maybe a training camp, and you can push Mikko Koskinen further out to the sea and maybe back up old man Mike Smith and make a run. But for me, my hero, it's perfect timing with the Paralympics right there, right here, Tuesday in Tokyo. My heroes are Paralympic athletes. We understand and we know right now it is a tough time, obviously with COVID and everything else going on. But we just talked about it early today. The coverage, the lack of coverage, I can only imagine has to be some difficult on athletes and their families. For those that can't make it, how do you watch? How do you see? And all this stuff. And again, it's all about creating awareness and bringing a change. So hopefully the next couple years, the Paralympics will be on the same stage or bigger stage as the Olympics and showing all across CBC networks for their duration there. We're proud of you. We'll be cheering for you. Thank you so much for what you do for our country and the other countries involved as well. And we can't wait to try and see the opening ceremonies on Tuesday and see how many medals you bring back.
Yeah, and I have always said it doesn't matter. John LaRoche, thanks, Rosie. We appreciate your comments. We miss him terribly. Well, I'm telling you, Johnny, he is holding the Rush family very high. The standards. You and your wife have done something real good because speaking from a guy who has three kids in their 30s and three grandchildren, I'd be proud. First, I'm proud to have him as a friend, but I'd be proud to have him as a son. He holds his head up high and not watching. And there was a couple of times, Brad and John, where Zenon Konopkin, the big troublemaker, was in his crease and whacking him. And I'm yelling at the side, going to Jordan, give him a jab, give him a jab. No, won't do it. He's standing in there doing his job, but doing it with class, like he does everything. So, and what you were saying, Brad, with the Paralympics, at the one thing I've always said is, you got to put the competitiveness in just as much as anything. But when it's over, you look down at that jersey, whether it's Canadian, American, Latvian, Sweden, Norwegian, Australian, New Zealand, it doesn't make a difference. You're getting a chance to do something when more than likely you should have been dead. You should have been gone from this earth. Most Paralympians have gone through life-changing incidents, and they get a chance to do something that is incredible. We cheer for it every year. Let's not forget, let's watch as hard as we can, and then not forget that for the first time in a long time, it's not 2 years in between, it's only 9 months. The Winter Games are coming in February in Beijing, and the Winter Paralympic Games are coming in March in Beijing. Last words for you, Barks, on episode 11?
Man, it was just as great as I teed it up at the beginning. I'm sure Mark Messier would be proud. I can't wait for number 12, man. We keep getting better and better and better. And thank you to everyone for their comments, for their support as always. Jordan for the work he does. Gooch for giving us this platform. And, of course, to be able to work with you week in and week out, Rosie. And in a couple of weeks to be able to see you in person and chat about more. I'm so excited about the future of the show and the future of us. And I can't help but think and help believe of the changes and hopefully the changes that we will bring forth in our communities, in our cities, and hopefully one day in our country. And we can be at the head of that table.
Yeah, absolutely. We're doing it slowly, one step at a time, one wheel at a time, one artificial leg at a time. On behalf of Jordan LaRoche, the Poundshot Kid, on behalf of Kerry Goulet, on behalf of all of our guests, Robert Wine, John LaRoche, everybody that watches, on behalf of my co-hosts, Brad Barco and Paul Rosen, you have taken the journey with us. Take your own journey and have some fun. Be safe. God bless.